Hello, I'm John Feldt, and this is the weekly water outlook for the South for September 29th. Well, you know, I talked about some potential for heavier rain over central and eastern parts of the state of Texas, as well as into Oklahoma. Sent out a special notice on that last week, and you can see that some areas did receive a significant rainfall. Almost all of Oklahoma received over a ½ inch of rain, and there were some pockets of over an inch of rain. That's little pockets of yellow or near 2 inches. I think you average all that out, you come out with about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch over Oklahoma. Really tapered off further east into Arkansas. You can see eastern Arkansas, very little rain. And then the heaviest rain here interacted with that tropical moisture streaming in, and very heavy rain over central to eastern parts of Texas. Now some of these areas, this areas of red here, 5 inches, and I see some areas of purple, nearly 10 inches. So very significant rain, and then it tapered off again further to the east. So some areas quite a bit of rain. If you look at the last 7 days, percent of normal, what you see here is sort of a mishmash. Hard to describe. Most of Oklahoma above normal precipitation, most of Arkansas below normal precipitation, and then Texas, look at this, these streaks of thunderstorms that develop. So if you were in one of these streaks, you might have had 2 to 3 times normal rainfall for the week, but either west, right here, or east, below normal rainfall. I thought it was interesting going out for the past 30 days, percent of normal precipitation, because we see some interesting trends. We sort of see a reversal of what we saw earlier this spring, where Oklahoma was wet, Texas was very dry. Look at this now over the last 30 days. We've had 2 significant rain events in Texas and a number of minor ones. So now we see over the last 30 days, Oklahoma is very dry, the yellows and reds. And Texas we're getting large areas now, or larger areas I should say, of above normal precipitation. Now is this ending the drought? No. Is it putting a dent in it? Well, it's putting a small dent in it, and these heavier rain amounts, where they're scattered, it's probably a pretty significant dent in a few areas. So if we look at how the drought has changed from the early part of July, mid-July actually, to the current time, look at this here. This is July 16th. No drought over Oklahoma. Now we compare Oklahoma that's been dry. Look at this. We're getting abnormally dry, D0, and even a little bit more to the west, although actually the west has seen some improvement. It's gone from this red to actually a D2, from a D4 to D2. If we look at Texas, a little bit hard to describe. Still, most of the state's covered in some degree of drought, but if you look at these red colors, everything has been toned down a bit in most areas. So there's been some improvement, some notable improvement. The drought is still there. It's not extinguished, but it's beginning to get drier in Oklahoma, and we've seen some modest improvement, and in some cases significant improvement in Texas. I wanted to show that through an accumulated precipitation graphic. This is for Dallas-Fort Worth. Starts on January 1st, continues to the current time. Brown line's normal, green line is observed. So as we started January 1st, we sort of start off at 0. You can see precipitation held close to normal until spring, and at that time we more and more of a deficit as we got into about August. And you can sort of see pretty far below this line. But look at it recently. It sort of leveled off, and now it's getting closer to the normal line, and that's saying we're gradually seeing some improvement in precipitation, at least over the Dallas area. Current steering winds. Well, we're in this typical fall type pattern. The jet stream is well to our north. You can see the pockets of energy. Matter of fact, the Pacific Northwest is going to be very active. You can see that area of red, very strong flow. There's a secondary flow over Texas. Look at that area of colored flow, wind flow, and some very weak or modest activity. But generally speaking, it looks pretty quiet. I don't see much activity. In fact, the tropics remain incredibly quiet. Record-breaking year as far as lack of activity. I've mentioned it before. It's really been a bust as far as the forecast. It'll be interesting to probably put out something special on looking into why it was so quiet over the next couple weeks. But right now, the Atlantic Basin, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, all pretty quiet. There's some disturbed weather in the Caribbean. Keep an eye on it, but right now it's not expected to do a whole lot. So the jet stream this week, very similar to last week. It's going to start off well to the north, and then we're going to have a system dig in the southwest and push out to the east. And a little bit of this energy will be brushing our area and triggering some scattered showers and thunderstorms. It doesn't look like it's going to dig well to the south, so it's going to be mainly the northern parts of the area that'll have most of the energy. 6 to 10 day, very similar. Look at those purple dashed lines. That's zero line, and that's indicating that atmospheric energy or pressure at the jet stream level is close to normal. So we're in your typical late summer, fall, early fall type weather pattern, which is generally pretty quiet unless we get tropical weather. So the rainfall forecast the next 7 days looks pretty quiet. With that system to our north, it looks like the heaviest rain will be to our north, but it could brush parts of Kansas and eastern Oklahoma. And then we could have an inflow of some tropical moisture from Louisiana up towards parts of eastern Arkansas. But it looks like most of the region here, good part of the south, looks like it's going to be very quiet with either no rain or at least no significant rain this week. And if I look at it week 2, this is the 6th through the 12th of October, I don't see any signs of tropical activity at this time. Areas in red are below normal precipitation, areas in green are above normal. It generally looks to me like pretty quiet right through the 12th of October. I don't see anything on this second week of any significance. Now, many of you have been subscribers for a while now. You know I talk a lot about atmospheric oscillations. I'll be getting back into that. I've given you a break over the summer months because they don't play quite as role. But basically, this is the Arctic oscillation, and we have this line here. And when it's above this line, we call it a positive Arctic oscillation. Below this line, negative. Forecast for the next couple weeks looks like it's going to, these are different models, a little bit above, a little bit below, and it looks to me like it's going to be generally sort of neutral. What that means is we're not getting any upper atmospheric energy imbalances that's going to be bringing these stronger systems down into the U.S. So it looks to me like a continuation of fall weather into the middle part of October at least. We're not starting that later part of the fall when we get a secondary severe weather season and more active pre-winter activity. I don't see signs of that right now. So I'll be talking more about Arctic oscillations and other oscillations throughout the winter months. Okay, takeaway points this week. Some coastal interactions, mainly far east coast. Modest lake weak rainfall over the north. Otherwise, it looks, generally speaking, for most of the south, a quiet period this week and a quiet period next week. We'll be updating my briefing again next week. I always appreciate you listening. If you have any questions or comments, love hearing from you as well. You know how to reach me, john@bluewateroutlook.com. Anything at all, if any of my information has helped you, I'd like to hear about that. If not, I'll be talking with you again next week.